coming up on the anniversary, and I got to thinking, marriage is just like football or any other sport that you could possibly think of. You see, there's a lot of plays that you're going to have to make. You're going to have to work as a team. Sometimes you'll fumble, and sometimes you'll get up, you'll tackle those problems, and you'll win. But it's up to you today to make those choices. So let me share with you some things that you can do to be successful in this love game. All right, team, let's get in it. So let's talk about relationships. Well, unless your parents had a good relationship and made every effort and a point of teaching you all the tricks of the trade, you've had to go it alone. But that's okay. Here's how you avoid these common relationship mistakes. The first mistake we typically do is giving gifts as medicine for the relationship. Now, what do I mean by that? If you try covering up relationship issues with money or exciting gifts, honey, that will not last. The same problem always comes back, only a little stronger the next time. It's simple. Just as problems arise, address them. Don't simply purchase a gift trying to pacify the other person instead of dealing with the issues at hand.
Technical foul.
Secondly, relying on hints. Honey, we all know that sometimes men, bless your hearts now, bless your hearts, but sometimes y'all not good at taking hints. Baby, if you think you want something done, just tell him you want it done. Because hinting around how the garbage is piling up and this, that, and the other, he probably won't even pay attention to the hint. So just tell him. Men really appreciate it when you tell them what it is you need. Not to mention, you need to advocate for yourself and say the things that you need out of him or out of her, for that matter, if she's someone that doesn't catch hints. Hints don't make for good communication, so just speak your needs very clearly and succinctly instead of hinting around.
Hike!
The next big thing that some of us do in relationships is to threaten the relationship itself if things aren't going well.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
You might be threatening to leave them or threatening a divorce. The whole thing is, and the point is that you're thinking you're putting your person on alert saying, hey, if you don't get it together, this is about to happen. What that does is destabilize your relationship, and the person is feeling all of a sudden like they can't make not one mistake whatsoever, and you'll be out the door. But there isn't one perfect person in this world, so the likelihood that they'll make a mistake is pretty high. Give some grace. Don't accept any craziness now. That is not what I'm saying. But give some grace and just make your needs very clear instead of threatening the relationship. The other thing is going tit for tat.
Roughing the passer.
It just doesn't work well. Now, you're familiar with this. So you screwed up by not attending their work event, so they use that as an excuse to skip out on a barbecue with your family. Whether you're using past negative events as excuses to behave poorly yourself, the end result is nothing but resentment. It's not going to move your relationship forward. If they screwed up with something, just say, hey, you screwed up and I wish you wouldn't do this because this is how this makes me feel when you do that. The other thing that sometimes we tend to do is fail to take responsibility for your own happiness.
5-yard penalty.
Your partner is, at the end of the day, not responsible for making you happy. And a lot of the times people get into relationships and they think, I'm going to marry this person because they're going to make me happy. Or sometimes in people's vows, they'll put in there, I vow to make you happy or spend the rest of my life making you happy. Well, baby, you're going to fail. Because the only person that's responsible for their happiness is the person themselves.
Touchdown!
You can't make anyone else happy. And if you go through your relationship trying to do that, you'll end up experiencing a lot of codependency. Or your emotions are your own responsibility. And your partner's emotions are their responsibility. If you avoid those few relationship killers, you'll be a whole lot more successful. Understand, your partner isn't infallible, and neither are you. My mother said that you always get more bees with honey than you do with salt. So be sweet to your partner, know that you married them for a reason. Be kind, communicate directly, be fair in your arguments, and most importantly, take responsibility for your own emotions and your behavior. Relationships are easier when you refrain from doing the things that will damage them in the first place. Relationships are very much like a sport. You have to be in this team together, and there's no I in team. So it takes the both of you to make this successful. Keep in mind that the choices that you make, they're not just your choices. They're not. Just like on a football field. You're not making these runs and plays individually. Everything that you do as an individual in a team sport affects the other players. So keep that in mind in your relationship. The choices that you make as an individual will affect your partner directly or indirectly. And lastly, remember to play fair. In the end, everyone wants the same thing, and that's a healthy, happy relationship. But it takes two to tango. So be a good sport. Relationships are not easy. You have to choose that relationship and your partner every single day. Working towards the betterment of your relationship is very much a choice. So good luck. I'm wishing you the best. So now that you know what needs to be done, pick up the ball and get back in the game. See you next week.